Hi there, in this video I'll explain you how to trigger potential buyers of premium auto structures to contact you. Intro. Hello there, my name is Tom Janssens. I'm the owner of virtualsaleslab.com. Virtualsaleslab.com helps you to get more leads and sales for premium auto structures via online 3D configurators. So in this video I will explain you the thought process potential buyers go through, and so you can trigger them to contact you and get more leads for premium auto structures. In the previous video I actually explained how to create awareness and identify your niche market and product. So figuring out that what makes you unique so people get a reason to buy from you. I will do a small recap now so we can actually start from the whole Marketing 101 framework. The Marketing 101 framework is about the customer journey. It's about the marketing flywheel. So we have AA, triple R, the pilot framework. So first, this is a few steps that the typical customer acquisition process goes through. The first one is awareness. What triggers people to come to you? So why do people opt for you and not for someone else? Is there like a specific reason they come to you? Might be locality, it might be that you have a certain offering, it might be that your marketing is really focused on a certain kind of audience, a niche audience, etc., etc. I made a video previously about this. I will link to it in the comments, so you don't need to check it right now. I'll just link it in the comments. So the next step is the acquisition. So when people know that you exist, you need to figure out, okay, how can I get them to my website? And when they are on the website, or to your showroom, of course, when it's not online. When they are there, which kind of questions do people ask? What kind of information are they looking for? You actually need to provide all the information and everything they need, so they really tend to activate. And activation is about leaving their contact data, initiating the sale. So once they are activated, of course, you can actually sell to them, then this gets revenue, and then there's retention. So keeping in touch with the customer and asking for referrals. I'll explain all of these in a deeper way in the previous video. Once again, I'll link to it in the context so you can check it out. So first things first, the acquisition. When people come to your website or showroom, what are they looking for? The single most important thing that people are looking for is your value proposition. So this means we help a certain niche audience to get a certain dream outcome via something that you offer. I know this sounds intangible, so I made a little bit more tangible. So I made a value proposition example for a fictitious company who sells eco-friendly premium auto structures. And their value proposition goes like this. We help people who care about nature to build an environment where people, fauna and flora can thrive together via our eco-friendly and nature-inclusive auto structures. When you think about this, this could be about the materials that you use, that they are eco-friendly, that they are recycled, that they are easy to recycle, but it could also be that you have things like insect hotels, or maybe small niches that animals can use to make their nests in, things like that. So there's lots of things possible here. The important thing is that you can market and address a certain audience directly, and you can easily find them. So that's the first thing that they do when you have to acquire people when they come to your showroom or they come to your website. You have to explain them a few things. So first of all, what do you do? And then if you have social proof, that's very helpful, so you can show what you've done in the past. And of course you need to show how you do it. But once people have typically seen these three things, it doesn't end there. Why? Because people typically tend to have some blockers. What keeps people from closing? For that I use a popular sales acronym. It's one of many. There are lots of potential sales acronyms that you can use. I use the simple one. It's only 4 different things that keep people from closing. It's easy to remember. So here we go. So the acronym that I use is BANT. BANT stands for 4 terms. It's budget, authority, need, and timing. So these 4 reasons are typically the reasons that a prospect will not engage because he's still in dubio on one of these 4 things. So first things first, budget. How much will it cost? Can I find a cheaper one? Can I afford it? Etc. etc. Those are the typical questions that people have. So you need to inform them about this. Or authority. It can go both ways. It can be from the buyer perspective. So it says, do I have the authority to buy it? So if I'm in a relationship, I can be in your showroom and I can say, okay, I like it, but I need to ask my spouse to check it. Or it could be the other way around. Can I trust you? How can I be sure that you have enough authority to say you can provide what you need? Typically, we will go into that later, how you can counter it, but these are the kind of things that we... The next one is the need. People typically are looking for outcomes. What's the expected outcome? So they want to have parties, or they want to have a room where they can chill with their people, or they want some room to cook, or they want to have like a secluded area, they want more privacy. You need to figure out what the expected outcome is that they want. And it might be, if that's not obvious, that the need is not there, or the need might not be obvious to them yet. And then last but not least, there's timing. By when would I need this? Why not postpone it to next year? Who knows? So these are the typical things when people tend to be hesitant to activate. You can come back to one of these 4 typically, or maybe even, to be honest, it's usually more than one. It's typically 2 or 3 out of 4. Of course, when you know this, these blockers, you can think about this like a chess game. So you need to be prepared, think about this, and use these to your advantage. How can you use these things to your advantage? It's quite simple, but then again, it might not be. So budget, the obvious choice, of course, is make it cheaper. Now, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm a bigger fan of offering more value, if possible, or figuring out a way to provide more to the customer for the same budget. Sometimes people go above their budget, they want something they cannot pay. I'm not a big fan of providing those people like a half-assed solution, because then you have to opt for cheaper things you might skip, and they tend to be also the most delicate audience. So I prefer not to make it cheaper, but I prefer to offer more value. Another option could be to say, okay, we can have payment plans. You could say you have like a lease back formula, or whatever that's possible. Of course, you need to take into account if it's movable or not, etc. etc. The next one, for authority, this could also be quite interesting. So let's say, for example, that you say, okay, I've been to this showroom, and I think it's really interesting, but my wife would like to see it first, because I cannot decide on this. So you could say, okay, no problem, but we have a family day once a year, but you can come check it out with the kids, and there's like small air castles where kids can jump on, and there's like slides and activities, so everybody can come over. And this gives you the impression both that, okay, you can convince your the spouse on this day, but it will also help you, because it will give you the help to build your brand as a company, as a given. If you are able to organize something like that, people will be attracted to it, they will get to know you, they will like your brand more, etc. etc. Another one is of course referrals. So what's the best way to get authority, or one of the easiest ways, is through someone else, someone that you can trust. If I buy a premium auto structure with you, and I say, hey, you can go to my friend X and tell him that what he's looking for, that you have it, I can assure you that the odds of closing are really high. Unless maybe it can be about one of these others, of course, but it should help. So referrals are also important. And then the need is of course a big one. To convince people of the need, usually they come to you and they already have some kind of a dream outcome. What you have to do is you have to show to them that they can achieve that outcome via your product or service. So live events or experiences help with that. There's lots of experience centers popping up, both from premium auto structures, but also for cars, for everything basically. Testimonials, especially testimonial videos, can help, where you can say, okay, this customer, he wanted to start Let's go, for example, to the eco-friendly example. You can actually show a video with everything activated, bees entering the structure, animals living, small birds living in these small niches that were provided. And of course, use cases. So you could say, okay, we can start a garden, we can have a group of friends, a movie of a group of friends that come over for a party and everybody enjoys the outdoor kitchen, things like that. And last but not least, timing. So what you can do to use this to your advantage is, especially if you combine these with the others, you can turn this into actual triggers to convince people. So you could say, okay, hey, if you buy within this month, we have a special action, Valentine's action or whatever, you get 10% off for all screens. Or you get some screens for free. It could be pink screens if you want to be really odd. Or you could say, okay, if 10 people buy on Family Day, everybody gets 5% off. Or you could say, people from one location, you could say we have 10 locations, we will do a lottery and the person, one location will get all a heater for free, for example. So if you really need to think about these specific things, because they tend to be the blockers, but you can actually turn this around. You use the inversion principle and you say, I can use these to my advantage. Because if you want to close people, they need to be convinced first that they need it. And then you need to figure out what is blocking them, and you need to have the correct action to activate them. So I'm Tom Janssens, I'm the owner of Virtual Sales Lab. At Virtual Sales Lab we provide online 3D configurators like this one, for example. This is from TS Aluminium. They have a special site called Zonne am Haus. It allows you to configure everything fully in 3D, and you can experiment, for example, with the position of the sun. You can say I want to see a different model so the customer can actually see it live. We can put this configurator on your website, of course. There's other things where you can say, okay, I want to experiment with the width, the height. I want to have a different color. Let's say I have a really bad taste and I opt for purple. I hope I'm not insulting anyone right now. You could say I need the wall to be larger or smaller, etc., etc. So this was our video. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave any remarks in the comments. And I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.